Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's often been said that you need to practice self-love. You need to love yourself before you can properly love others. There's so much involved in that self-care, that self-love. We're going to look at that today with somebody who is a spiritual life coach, a hypnotherapist, and also does these amazing retreats, virtually or in person in Sedona, Arizona, that can really change your life and maybe even help you find that self-love. Rhea Maceris is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Wonderful to be here.
So the self-love thing, I feel a lot of people shy away from it because to them, it almost sounds like ego. Like, oh, you love yourself. Oh, but that's
Or
not what
narcissistic even. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We're not exactly talking about that, right?
Right. Exactly. Very good discernment, because the process that I go through is, first of all, realizing that self-love, you can even say self-like, is an internal game. It's all happening within. And so with that idea in mind, I help people navigate and connect with that part of themselves. Because imagine, I believe we have all the wisdom we need within us. However, if we're not taking time to connect with our wisdom, with our guides, with our angels, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, it's almost as if it's wasted space. So that's a big part of where I help people realize you have it within you. Let me help you find that wisdom and that guidance and that self-love, self-like, whatever you want to call that, within yourself.
Completely agree with you. And I've said it before here that all we need is within us now. Everything you need, you've given this whole thing, this body thing that you have, I have, it's there. The tools are there. The intuition is there. The everything. If you're thinking that's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. Trust yourself. When it comes to the self-love, I'm going to fast forward to the end now of
Okay.
what we're talking about. Not the process to get there. How do you know when you've nailed it? When you have that, you're at that stage, that point where, yeah, you know what? I do love myself and I feel good about myself and I've got a lot of great things to offer. How do you know you're there?
That's a great question. Personally, for me and what I witnessed with my clients, it literally is a day-by-day choice. Some days are a little bit more difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
Life happens, things happen. However, if we're letting the fears and the doubts and the challenges come in and override our authenticity, our truth, so that's almost where the question comes up. Okay, are we going to hang out in fear, or are we going to hang out in love? And so if you're choosing love, you're already starting your day with that intention of liking or loving yourself. And I want to look at the idea you mentioned, that people often think it's ego-based.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, when you think about it like a healthy selfish, when I'm choosing to like myself, to love myself each and every day. And again, it's a day-by-day choice. It's not that I'm there all the time, but it's realizing that when I'm feeling good, I'm inviting and inspiring others to feel good and to find that part of themselves rather than judging them or criticizing them. Because if I'm feeling off, it's easier to criticize and judge others. So it's a healthy selfish. It's like the ripple effect, right? When I feel good, I share that with the people around me. So
I heard this today.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think this is what you're talking about, that when you find that self-love plateau, you're there, you have raised your vibration, your energetic vibration.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love, are you familiar with Joe Dispenza at all? Metaphysical medical doctor. He is awesome. Anyway,
I've heard the name a million times, but I need to study.
His idea is, in order to change your life, change your vibration. Meaning, if we're hanging out again in fear and doubt and guilt and shame, the past, or a fear of the future, like we recognize it can be either one, then we're going to have a lower vibrational energy. If we're choosing self-love, appreciation, acceptance, all those higher vibrational feelings, guess what? We're going to have higher vibrational energy, and then the universe matches us wherever we are. It doesn't say, Steve, why are you hanging out in fear and anxiety today? Energetically, it just matches you where you are. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do in
So
those
yay, go
situations?
high vibrational.
Raise it up, raise it up. Let's go.
Yep. And that's how we change our life, truly.
How do you deal with those situations when, and this comes up, it's life, you deal with somebody, you have a relationship with somebody who doesn't do the right thing, and it just frustrates you. They're self-absorbed. They do whatever they think they should. And you get angry at that because they're not doing the right thing. How do you remove yourself from that anger? And
That's a really interesting question, because I do work with a lot of couples. And so obviously that mirror comes up a lot. First of all, let's even explore what is right and wrong, because we all have our own understanding of what is right and what is wrong. And obviously that comes from our childhood, that comes from the way we were raised religiously, et cetera, et cetera. So even that question can come up, because we may have different understandings of what it is to be right or to be wrong. So even exploring that is really, because oftentimes, there's, if you think about it, there are multiple ways for any problem or any situation. Just because we see it one way doesn't mean that's the only right way. Does that make sense?
yes.
So even opening up your mind to, I may not like the way they're doing that, but maybe it is easier, or maybe it makes more sense for them given where they are and who they are. And so it's considering the dynamic, instead of judging it or criticizing them because they did it the way that they felt was right for them. So it's even a question of what's right and wrong.
If you let others, and I have this conversation with my teenage daughter all the time, if you allow people to make you angry, you're giving them your power. How do you not do that, though?
That's such a great one. So one of the actual sessions that I create is with the idea heal, so you never allow anyone to be responsible for your frustrations. Imagine that. That's empowering. That's freedom. Because again, the way they're doing it, it may make complete sense to them why they want to do it that way. It may take longer. It may not make sense. But so that's another part of what I help people with, is literally bringing their awareness back to them and their feelings. What they're creating within themselves is the most important thing over what anyone else is doing. So bringing awareness back, and my intention and what I help my clients with is realizing when they're being their best, that has a ripple effect upon everyone. So it's a healthy selfish, not a narcissistic. That's very different. Without, narcissistic, I look at as they're greedy. They're going to do whatever they want for themselves. Whereas a healthy selfish is, I want to feel my best so that I can inspire others, so that I can share that higher vibrational energy wherever I go. And you can notice when people are in their higher vibrational energy, animals are much more attracted. The animals are really good at reading energy. I don't know if you've ever made that connection.
I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, they sense it. They're like a perfect gauge of, am I safe with you? And so and when there's just it's an energetic, and because you're feeling your best in that moment. Not that we're perfect, not that you're going to be perfect every day, but you're doing your best to feel your best.
When people say, my dog knows what I'm saying. All right, there may be a couple of words that they will pick up on, make an association, but it's greater and bigger than that. It's they're picking up on your vibration. And
yes.
My belief, how do they do that? Why are they doing that? Because they have nothing else to worry about. They don't have to pay a mortgage, car payments, all the other things that we worry about. They just do their life, and their life is
When do I
relative.
take a nap and when do I take a walk?
Right. Yeah. Let me out. I got to
Yeah.
poop, and, and they're always grounded because they're walking with their paws on the ground. So I can lay down on my couch, and my two cats and my dog will immediately come up and they'll hang out around me. It's almost like Dr. Doolittle, if you remember. Um,
Dr.
maybe I,
Steve.
yeah, maybe my vibe is good. I don't know. There's been other times where people will come in and go to pet them, and they're like, "Pew," they're out, and I'm
And
almost
have you ever
embarrassed.
even noticed walking down the street if animals are attracted to you? Like if I'm not feeling it, they can literally gauge if I'm feeling really good, if I really took my time to meditate, really watching self-talk is such an important part of it as well.
Hmm.
Because oftentimes we are our greatest critics. So a big part of what I offer is recognizing what you're telling yourself. I literally will ask a client to spend a day, write down all the things that you say to yourself. They are so surprised and shocked how they talk to themselves.
Hmm.
So it's recognizing that inner judge that we all have, that inner critic. You can call it the negative ego if you want. And so I help them navigate new and going to gratitude and feeling, literally feeling those higher vibrational feelings. Because if you have negative thoughts, they can lead to negative feelings, and that's what creates dis-ease. Even think of that word, dis-ease. Your
Hmm.
body is off, it's feeling off, right? So that's a big part of what I really work with is finding kindness and compassion for themselves. Because imagine we want to be understood and loved and appreciated and honored, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to give ourselves that. So we're feeling that higher vibrational. And then that's where people meet us and can respect us in that place. Because I believe we teach others how to treat us by how we treat ourselves.
Ring
Good
the
one, eh?
ring the Rhea bell. Yeah, that is probably one of the most powerful things we're going to say today. You said it. Um, yeah, say that again so it makes an impression
We
on it.
teach others how to treat us by how we treat ourselves, ideally with kindness and compassion. It's an energy. If I'm talking harshly to myself all day and criticizing myself and trying to be perfect, and even trying to be perfect is such a disappointment, or can be, because that bar is too high, right? So you're constantly in a state of disappointment. So we teach others how to treat us by how we treat ourselves, with
Hmm.
self-love, with self-like, with kindness, with understanding. We make a mistake, it's just a mistake. It's not a big deal, because if we make it into a thing, we're literally carrying around this heavy thing, literally energetically. And that just goes to that lower vibrational energy again.
Is it safe to assume, and I can equate this to my life in some regards, I don't take the time for self-care. I do, but I don't. I need to do way more. But that being said, people always, even close connections are always asking for stuff. Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And I'm not doing it for myself. So, do you think that that's why that's happening? And it's not like I'm a pushover, but it's like, I wind up doing things sometimes that I don't really want to do because I want people to be happy to some point. I've
Well,
gotten
and
better.
I think that's the big question to ask, because it's wonderful to give and share, and that does feel good. However, if you're choosing to care for someone else's needs in the moment over your own, oftentimes that can lead to resentment.
Yeah.
And so when you're coming in with a full cup, I want to share that with others. But if I haven't taken that time to really fill up my cup, so to speak, and find my higher vibrational feelings, it's more difficult for me to give. So that's where the self-care really comes down to
Hmm.
being willing to say yes to yourself. Instead of thinking it as I'm saying no to Billy down the street, I'm saying yes to me because I need to fill up my cup before I can give it away. Make sense?
Yes. And I've looked at things in a different way. even like going to a doctor. Like in the past, gotta go to the doctor. Wait there. It's like, oh, really? Come on. I don't really want to go. Now I flipped it around. I'm going to the doctor. I can't wait because I'm doing something for myself. Big difference. Even if it's an uncomfortable doctor appointment or whatever it might be, you're still doing something for yourself. And that's a big
Because
plus.
ultimately it sounds like that will give you even peace of mind that you're taking care of yourself. You want to know if anything's hurting or needs attention, or
Right.
so even that can bring a level of inner peace, because ultimately I think that's really what we're all wanting to some extent, is just to feel peaceful within.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to go back to what we were talking about in the beginning. You need to go into that internal part of who we are to find that. And that's really what I help people. When they do an inner journey, Steve, it's so fascinating because I guide them within, and their inner wisdom actually is given a voice and an expression and talks about something they want to get some insight upon. And they're oftentimes so surprised and like, wait, that came from within me? And how you can't deny it when it comes from within them. So that's a beautiful, beautiful session that I really appreciate that I do with people. And that can be done virtually or in person.
I have to tell you, Rhea, in our talk today, I'm feeling that, yes, you're a spiritual life coach. It's almost like you're a therapist. I know you're not, but some of the things that we're talking about, you would actually go to a therapist for and get advice for. You're doing that, but in different levels, the energetic level, the coaching level. So quite refreshing and
The
actually pretty
holistic
cool.
approach,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, all levels of people that come and do retreats.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's so it's even imagining you're really just, I'm inviting you to get to know yourself better. I'm inviting you to realize your emotional intelligence is very important. And I'm inviting you to realize you have so much within you. And so when you bring all this wisdom and all these ideas together, it's easier to love yourself, like yourself, because we are amazing beings.
Mm-hmm.
We are creating every moment of every day by our thoughts and our feelings. So let's go higher vibrational. Let's go positive, right?
Why would you want the opposite?
Exactly. Well, you know what's interesting that you say that? I was watching this podcast today, and this man was talking about, he had this realization that I thought was very insightful, that he grew up in a very chaotic childhood, a lot of alcoholism, et cetera, et cetera. So when he got into his first romantic relationship, he literally would create chaos because he felt like something was missing, because that's what was familiar in his childhood. So it's recognizing how important our childhood is. What we learn that's how we live. That's life. And so he recognized that, and that's really a big part of what I help people do, is recognize what they're doing and why they're doing things that might be self-sabotaging, it might be hurting them. So we're looking for the complete opposite. It's really just bringing more awareness to, how are you living your life and why are you living it this way? Let's look at it from that perspective, and let's create the life that you really want. Because when we're in self-love and self-like, that's where we manifest. That's where we're in the magic.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I
I like
again,
that when you do that. It's like,
why would you? And again, if you're thinking negative, if you're letting somebody control you by allowing they did something, you react to it, you're allowing them to control you. All of that is bringing down your vibration and
Yes,
literally dogging you down, bringing you down
yes.
in many levels than you even realize. And especially energetically, you're not doing yourself justice within that. I am going to walk in my neighborhood and watch for animals and see if I'm not even kidding. I never even thought about that. I'd like to think when I do walk around, they're friendly and they come up to me. Even if I walk down the street and somebody has a dog, they usually, turn to me. I don't know. Maybe it's the vibe. I can tell you this. One of my favorite things is to go home and just plop on the couch and just put my feet up and just lay there, and my animals come around me and hang out. It's like,
And Dr. Doolittle comes out.
yeah, I feel like that's, for me, that's home. That's like, yeah, all right,
And
guys,
they
how you
love
doing?
you. Yeah, yeah.
And it's weird. And my cats, I've had them less than a year. The two of them got them at different ages.
Aw,
Yeah,
aw.
but one will, and they're very, and that's another thing. I'll just share that I find I pick the right animals, and I think I'm pretty convinced it's because of my vibe. I just know which one. That's the one right there. That's the one right there. Because they're all the same. They're all loving and mushy and friendly, and
Aw,
both
yeah.
cats are the same. Like I'll lay down on the couch, one comes up and just, cuddles, the other be at the top of my head, and the dog
Yeah.
plops down. But they all get along, and they all have the same basic personality. And I find it amazing that they all are the same. And I think it's me. I really do. And
Absolutely. They have little souls too. And I believe there is a truth to that, that we really bring in souls that are meant to be like art. We have two, brother and sister, and I mean, it was kind of a magical story how they came to us, but they are just perfect for us. They're perfect for the energy. And yeah, I believe there is something to that. And you
mm,
know how they even say animals often look like their owners? That's a fun one to watch too as you're walking down through your neighborhood.
hmm, I'm going to watch that one a little bit closer. Do you believe? I mean, we've skimmed upon this once before, but reincarnation. Because the one cat I had, and I got this cat. He's a slightly older one, again, like a year old. Um, my daughter had some challenges, and I got him to help her heal. Really did, and it 100% worked. Um, I feel his personality is just like a cat that I had to put down 4 years ago. Like, almost looks a little bit like him, but the same mushiness, the same everything.
Pushiness.
I swear he came back. I really do. And these are
Well,
rescues.
that's interesting you say that, because I wondered that about one of our cats, if it's a previous dog I had many years ago, because similar personality, similar vibes, similar energy. Who knows? But it's a fun thought.
Or did we attract it? Did you attract that first animal and then now the second one? And it's so similar because you brought it to you within your energy. Maybe that's another way to look at it as well. I don't know.
One another fun piece to that is I've read in numerous different ways and different books, et cetera, then when we pass and we go to the other side into the light, that we're often met by our previous pets and obviously our loved ones, but our pets greet us as well. So that's even a fun thought.
Wow. Hmm. Okay. I I can wait, but I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, yeah.
because I'd like to be reunited with Maestro someday because he was pretty awesome.
Maestro. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
perfect name for you. Your
Yeah,
music.
I never even thought of that.
That's so perfect.
He got his name because an old man had like 50 cats and lived in a town that started with M. So the shelter named all of the cats with M names. He was Maestro, but I play music on the radio and have since I was a kid, literally. I never even thought of that.
Oh, that's
Wow.
so perfect. Yeah. I
Wow.
would have assumed you named him.
No. And he was in a cage for like a year. And I, found him. I'm like, you're coming out of that cage. And he was a little, skitterish at first, but became,
Meant to be.
meant to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about the connection with you. If we want to realize all this stuff, experience self-love, higher vibrations, even the retreats, the amazing retreats that you do, we just reach out, start a conversation there.
Yes. Feel free to text me, and we'll have a conversation, a free discovery call. And then I literally personalized a retreat, inner journey, whatever's involved. If you're going to be here near the Sedona area, or if you want to go virtual, and then I personalize it and we work with it until it's perfect for you. Because I recognize we're all different, we're all unique, we have different needs. And I'm really, and I like how you said this at one point, like I'm really like a friend, and I literally give homework. There's a constant follow-up and connection of support that I offer.
We're out of time. Two quick questions. With the retreats, the in-person retreats, do most people come by themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Second
like I
question.
said, I work with couples, but a lot of people, it's a solo experience
That's what I'm
because
saying.
they want to get to know themselves. They want to get to know, I mean, it really is about them. And that's even one of the concepts that I really, really believe in is imagine you are your first priority. Imagine that when someone asks you to do some work for them.
Imagine that. Yeah. And my second question, how often do people cry?
All the time.
Okay. I figured that.
And I mean that because when you're going into your inner world, into your inner hurts, your inner pains, your inner joy, any of it, the emotions flow because better out than in, truly. Because if that unhealed energy is within, that's toxicity in your body that can create dis-ease. So yes, almost everyone cries. And I'm all about the crying. The Kleenexes are right there, and I applaud them for it because when we're getting in touch with our vulnerability, it's letting out any hurts or pains that you haven't released or grieved. Is that a word, grieved? We're able to, I don't know. I like to make up new words. If they haven't had the process of grieving correctly, maybe I'll say it that way.
And we're not talking about grieving necessarily the passing of a loved one. Could be grieving a relationship, whatever, grieving your old self. And now you're into, somebody new.
Absolutely. And the tears can be of joy as well when they start realizing when they start connect with themselves and finding that self-love and that self-like that we refer to. Yeah. That's a beautiful, joyous moment. It feels really good.
Oh, yeah. And you got to let it out. That's why we were designed with tears.
Yes.
Rhea, always great talking with you.
Same.
Lots of insight. And I found a new therapist, and there she is right there. Enjoy the weekend and look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Absolutely. Take good care, okay?
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.